It's a tale as old as time, and a song as old as rhyme. And no, not Time magazine, that's only as recent as 1923. This is much, much older than that. My name is Tim, and today on ChannelFrederator we are counting down 107 facts about Beauty and the Beast. Let's get started. Number 1. Walt Disney attempted to produce Beauty and the Beast into an animated film 2 times prior, in the 1930s and the 1950s, but writers continuously had a difficult time adapting the story. In both instances, the project had to be shelved. Number 2. Disney borrowed ideas from Jean Cocteau's 1946 French film, which was another adaptation of the same traditional fairy tale that the film was to be based on. Of course, all 3 share the same name. Number 3. Julie Andrews was considered for the role of Mrs. Potts, but reportedly declined. Maybe she was afraid of being typecast as porcelain-based characters. That's a real threat in Hollywood. Number 4. Sequences where the film lacks a song or musical score only add up to 5 minutes. And it makes me wonder why we can't just fill those 5 minutes with more of Gaston's song. Number 5. Chip was set to only have 1 line in the film, but producers couldn't resist how cute Bradley Michael Pierce sounded and added more. Number 6. Prior to this, the token cute character of the film was going to be a music box that communicated through notes. I think we can agree that Chip was the better choice, though my personal favorite choice is the footrest dog. Number 7. Regis Philbin auditioned for the role of the Beast.
Is that your final answer?
Disney's final answer was a no. Number 8. In 1988, Walt Disney hired British animation director Richard Purdom to adapt the film, but this version was quite dark and non-musical. Number 9. Linda Wolverton was brought on to rewrite the script. Her only prior experience with Disney was writing episodes of Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. Number 10. Belle's characterization was inspired by Katharine Hepburn's portrayal of Jo in the 1933 film adaptation of Little Women. Linda wanted to make Belle a strong and independent character. Number 11. Sherry Stoner served as the reference model for Belle. She also served as the model for Ariel in The Little Mermaid. Number 12. Both Belle and Ariel have a tendency to bite their lips and sweep their hair, which are both habits of Sherry Stoner that animators tried to replicate. Number 13. Angela Lansbury, the voice of Mrs. Potts, was originally reluctant to sing the classic song Beauty and the Beast. It was written as a rock ballad, which wasn't really her style. After she expressed her hesitance, the studio asked her to sing the song in the manner she envisioned it, which is how it became the song we all know and love today. I want to hear the rock ballad version so desperately it hurts. Number 14. Jodie Benson, the voice of Ariel from The Little Mermaid, was Disney's original choice to play Belle, but they ended up selecting Paige O'Hara. Gosh, they just really love crossing over those 2 characters. Is there some conspiracy Disney hasn't let us in on? Number 15. Paige O'Hara shed actual tears when recording the scene of Beast's death. In fact, her sobbing was so intense that producers asked her if she was okay. She immediately dropped out of character and declared, acting. Number 16. The Beast's real name is Adam, but it's never mentioned in the film. If he's a Prince Charming, that makes him Prince Adam, like in He-Man. Hang on, I need to log on to my fanfiction.net account. Number 17. The animator Glenn Keane based the Beast on several different animals. He has the mane of a lion, the head and beard of a buffalo, the brow of a gorilla, the eyes of a human, the tusks of a wild boar, the body of a bear, and the legs and tail of a wolf. Number 18. In the original script of the film, Gaston was going to be killed by wolves after surviving his fall. The subplot was scrapped, but eventually ended up in The Lion King, with Scar being devoured by hyenas. Number 19. Some sculptures in the Beast's castle are actually earlier concept designs for his appearance. Number 20. Belle is the second Disney princess of non-royal descent. The first is Cinderella, and the third is Tiana. This raises the question, is Mulan a Disney princess? Number 21. Beauty and the Beast was the first animated film to be nominated for the Academy Award for Best Picture. It lost to Silence of the Lambs. Number 22. It was also the first animated film to earn more than $100 million in the box office. Number 23. The Beast and Belle's final dance in the film is actually recycled animation from the final dance of Sleeping Beauty. This isn't the first instance of Disney doing this either. It turns out they're fans of recycling. Number 24. The ending credits were performed by Celine Dion and Peabo Bryson. Number 25. Beauty and the Beast was the first Disney animated feature film to have a pop version of its theme play during the credits. Number 26. A number of paintings on the walls of Beast's castle are inspired by famous artworks, including pieces by Vermeer, Rembrandt, and Goya. The Beast has excellent tastes. Number 27. Paige O'Hara was in her early 30s when she voiced Belle, though the Disney princess is only 17. Number 28, Beauty and the Beast was the first animated feature to win a Golden Globe for Best Picture, Musical, or Comedy. Number 29, Patrick Stewart almost voiced Cogsworth, but had to turn down the role due to scheduling conflicts with Star Trek The Next Generation. Number 30, Beauty and the Beast was Disney's 30th animated feature. Number 31, the film consists of around 120,000 drawings and 1,295 painted backgrounds. Number 32, the art director of the film, Brian McKenty, chose to have Belle be the only character in her town who wears blue. This was meant to signify how different she is from everyone else. Of course, our protagonist later meets Beast, who also wears blue at times. Number 33, the film is dedicated to lyricist and executive producer Howard Ashman, who died 8 months prior to its final completion due to AIDS-related complications. It was his final body of work. Number 34, Howard Ashman was posthumously nominated for the Oscar for Best Song alongside collaborator and friend Alan Menken. Actually, 3 of their songs were nominated for the category. They won with Beauty and the Beast. Number 35, the film and Alan Menken scored a second Academy Award for Best Score. Number 36, Chip is the only character in the castle besides the Beast to call Belle by name. Number 37, LeFou's name means the madman in French, and is also a phonetic pun for the French pronunciation of the fool. Number 38, the smoke from the scene when the Beast transforms back into his original form is actual smoke, not animated. That's one way of getting it to look really realistic. Number 39, the aforementioned smoke was originally used in Disney's film The Black Cauldron. Number 40, there were darker scenes from the film that were cut, including Gaston visiting an asylum and the Beast dragging an animal carcass. Number 41, Rupert Everett auditioned for the role of Gaston, but was turned down because he didn't sound arrogant enough. He kept this critique in mind when trying out for the role of Prince Charming in Shrek 2, which he nabbed. Number 42, when the Beast and Gaston are struggling on the roof, Gaston yells out, "Belle is mine!" The line was originally "Time to die," but changed to fit Belle back into the scene. Number 43, the stained glass window at the end of the film depicting Beauty and the Beast, or Prince Adam, was constructed following the movie's release and resides permanently at Disneyland. Hey everyone, we're taking just a quick break to let you know what's coming up. So on Tuesday on Cartoon Hangover, we have 107 facts about Spirited Away. Then on Thursday on ChannelFrederator, we have 107 facts about the upcoming Pixar film, The Good Dinosaur. Then on Saturday on ChannelFrederator, we have our Saturday Morning Cartoons feature, which features some of the best animations from members in our network. It's great, you should totally check it out if you want to see awesome animations by cool people. And with that, back to the facts. Number 44. The prologue of the film states that the rose will be in bloom until the prince is 21, and in Be Our Guest, Lumiere sings the line, 10 years we've been rusting. Some simple math, the conclusion can be drawn that the prince met the sorceress when he was just 11 years old. Her punishment's looking a bit harsh now. Did anyone ever contact authorities about that? Number 45. Lumiere is voiced by Jerry Orbach, who played Detective Lenny Briscoe on Law & Order for 13 seasons. Number 46. In 1991, an unfinished version of the film screened at the New York Film Festival. Despite 30% of the film being composed of storyboards and uninked pencil tests, it received a 10-minute standing ovation. Number 47. The role of Cogsworth was actually written for John Cleese, who turned it down. Number 48. Beauty and the Beast is only the 41st highest-grossing animated film of all time. This may have a little something to do with inflation. Number 49, Lawrence Fishburne, Val Kilmer, Mandy Patinkin, and Tim Curry were also considered for the role of the Beast. Where's D. Bradley Baker? I want D. Bradley Baker. Number 50, Jeffrey Katzenberg hired Kirk Wise and Gary Trousdale to direct the film. Similar to Linda Wolverton, the two didn't have much on their belt. Their major credit was a short film titled Cranium Command, which was commissioned for an attraction at Disney's Epcot Center. Number 51, Robbie Benson was cast as the Beast, despite being best known for his roles as sensitive male teens in movies like Ice Castles and The Chosen. Number 52, the sounds of growling panthers and lions were mixed into Robbie Benson's voice digitally to enhance the Beast's howls, which I know I'm putting a lot of pressure on the editor right now, but I would like to try that myself. Number 53, Beauty and the Beast was one of Disney's earliest collaborations with Pixar. Pixar developed a computer animation software, CAPS, short for Computer Animation Production System, for Disney. It was first used in The Rescuers Down Under, and then for the ballroom sequence in Beauty and the Beast set to the titular song. The software enabled animators to create a 3D model of the ballroom, which was used to make it appear as though the camera was swirling through the space as Belle and the Beast dance. The sequence was considered a highlight of the film and helped spur Disney to move to full-length computer animated films. Number 54. The film was released in November 1991 to an overwhelmingly positive response. It was the third highest grossing movie that year. Terminator 2 apparently took the number 1 slot. Number 55. When the film was released in China, the Beast's speaking and singing voices were dubbed by Jackie Chan. Number 56. The song Human Again was cut from the film's original release. It was added again to the 2002 re-release, as well as the Broadway musical. Number 57. As Gaston falls, tiny skulls flash in his eyes to signal that he is approaching death. Number 58. Art directors traveled to the Loire Valley in France for inspiration. They also studied French painters Fragonard and Boucher, which influenced the illustration style. Number 59. With this film, Linda Wolverton became the first woman to write an animated feature for Disney. Number 60. For the first time, animators were credited on screen with the specific characters they had brought to life. Number 61. In the middle of development for Beauty and the Beast, The Little Mermaid premiered. It changed the direction of the film, which then also became something of a Broadway musical brought to animation. Number 62. Director Kirk Wise started his career drawing caricatures and a theme park. Not one of Disney's, though. While he attended art school, he worked at Universal Studios to make extra money. Number 63. Glenn Keane wishes that the Beast had stayed as the Beast instead of reverting back to his princely human form. To help with the transition, he suggested a line be inserted where Belle asks, "Do you think you could grow a beard?" It didn't make it in, but Glenn believes this is a great idea and a missed opportunity. I'm inclined to agree with him. That sounds amazing. Number 64. When Maurice, Belle's father, gets lost in the wood, he comes across some road signs. If you squint, you can read that one of them says Anaheim. Of course, this is the city in California where Disneyland is located. He could have ended up somewhere a lot more fun than Beast's Castle. Number 65. Another sign points to Valencia, which is the city that Cal Arts is located in. Number 66. John Alvin, the poster artist for Beauty and the Beast, also designed posters for other renowned films. They include E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Gremlins, The Lion King, The Color Purple, Blazing Saddles, and more. Number 67. Belle makes a cameo in the film The Hunchback of Notre Dame, another Disney film set in France. Pumbaa from The Lion King and the Magic Carpet from Aladdin also make appearances. Number 68. The Beast has also made a cameo in another Disney film. If you pay attention to the Sultan's stacking toys in Aladdin, you can see that one of them is the Beast. Number 69. An earlier version of the film had no music and added some members to Belle's family, a little sister named Clarice and a cat named Charlie. Number 70. At one point, a scene was going to be included that showed the Beast being cursed by the sorceress. She would chase him through the castle and hit bystanding servants, accidentally transforming them into the objects before finally getting to the prince. Number 71. Disney's animation department won a Scientific and Technical Academy Award for the design and development of the computer animated production system they used for the film. Number 72. Bambi's mother makes a cameo in the film during the opening shot. She can be seen drinking from a stream in the lower right. It turns out she was fine. She just abandoned her child. She wasn't shot. That's so much better. Number 73. The song Be Our Guest was originally meant to be sung to Maurice, not Belle. Producers felt it was too good to use on a secondary character though, so things were rewritten. Number 74. In 2002, the Library of Congress selected Beauty and the Beast for preservation in the National Film Registry, deeming it culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. Number 75. According to Maurice, the Beast is 10 feet tall. Number 76. The first stained glass window seen in the prologue of the film has Vincent Casey Vincent on it, which is a Latin phrase meaning he conquers who conquers himself. It's a dead language, so you can't get on me for pronouncing it incorrectly. Number 77. In the mob song, Gaston says, "Screw your courage to the sticking place." This is a reference to Macbeth. Number 78. The Beast's makeover when he's preparing for his evening with Belle parallels that of the Cowardly Lion from The Wizard of Oz. Of course, the Beast doesn't keep the ribbon and curls. Number 79. The last portion of Cogsworth's line, "Flowers, chocolates, promises you don't intend to keep," was actually ad-libbed by David Ogden Stiers. Number 80. Actually, producers encouraged actors to improvise, so there were a few lines in the final film that were never in the script. Number 81. Almost the entire cast of the film is composed of Broadway stars. This was intentional as Disney hoped that in the future, a theatrical backer would finance a stage version. Number 82. In the French version of the film, Cogsworth is named Big Ben after the famed clock tower in London. Number 83. Belle's dress is loosely based on Dorothy's from The Wizard of Oz. Number 84, when Paige O'Hara was auditioning for the film, a bit of her hair flew into her face and she tucked it back. Animators liked this and added it to the film. Number 85, the scene where Belle runs into a field and sings is an homage to the opening scene in The Sound of Music. Number 86, as Belle leaves the bookshop, three men sing. The two men flanking the blonde in the middle are caricatures of the directors Kirk Wise and Gary Trousdale. Number 87, Belle's favorite book is actually not too distant from her real life. It features far-off places, daring sword fights, magic spells, and a prince in disguise. In fact, the lead meets Prince Charming only on, but doesn't find out until Chapter 3. Fans have speculated that the book Belle is reading is Sleeping Beauty. Number 88. Among the 370 people involved in its production, 43 were animators. Number 89. At the foot of the Beast Castle at Walt Disney World, you can dine at the Be Our Guest restaurant. Not only is it designed to look like the castle from the film, you can even order the gray stuff that Lumiere sings about in Be Our Guest. Number 90. Upon its release, Frank Rich, a renowned theater critic for the New York Times, asserted that the film was better than any musical he'd seen on Broadway that year. Number 91. Frank Rich's comment inspired Disney to develop the film into its first Broadway musical based on one of its animated features. It opened in 1994 and ran for 5,464 performances before it was closed in 2007 to make way for The Little Mermaid Broadway show. It is currently the 9th longest running musical in Broadway history. Number 92. In 2017, Disney will release a live-action film of the same name and general plot. The director, Bill Condon, has said that he will draw inspiration from the animated film and that he plans to include most of the songs from the musical. Number 93. Paige O'Hara, the voice of Belle, made a cameo appearance in Disney's 2007 film Enchanted. She played a television soap opera character who acted out a scene paralleling Belle tending to the Beast's wounds. The character's name was Angela, which was apparently a pointer to her Beauty and the Beast co-star, Angela Lansbury. Number 94. Directors Wise and Trousdale went on to direct The Lion King, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Atlantis, The Lost Empire. Number 95. Wolverton went on to co-write Disney's The Lion King and Mulan. She also wrote the 2010 live adaptation of Alice in Wonderland. Number 96. The three Bimbettes are actually played by just two actresses. Number 97. Animators were encouraged to add Gaston hitting LeFou wherever they could fit. Number 98. Spin-offs of The Beauty and the Beast include Belle's Enchanted Christmas, Belle's Magical World, Sing Me a Story with Belle, and 6 video games. Number 99. Howard Ashman was the person who pushed for Belle's father to be an eccentric inventor. Number 100. Mrs. Chamomile was a name suggestion for Mrs. Potts. Number 101. The animator in charge of Belle studied ballerinas to establish how she would move. Number 102. While many animated films take around 4 or 5 years to complete, Beauty and the Beast only took 2. Number 103. Producers were so pleased with Tony Jay's work that they even used his audition piece in the final film. Disney also cast him again later as Frollo in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Number 104. In the added song Human Again, Belle and the Beast can be seen reading a book together. It's none other than Romeo and Juliet. Number 105. During Human Again, we also see characters cleaning up the castle. Because of this, animators had to go back and clean up the castle in scenes following the song for continuity. It was still quite a mess in the original. Number 106. The completed film premiered at the El Capitan Theater in Hollywood. And finally, number 107. The Bimbettes' hairstyles initially match up with Belle's, Ariel's, and Jasmine's. Bimbettes seems like a really derogatory name. Thank you for watching ToonedUp's 107s, where we cover everything you've ever wanted to know about your favorite cartoons. If you like this video, you can go ahead and check out other videos like it right over here. And if you have a smartphone, you can download the ChannelFrederator app, where we've been putting some pretty neat exclusive content, so go ahead and check that out as well. And remember, Frederator loves you.